the countdown. You get the countdown.
Okay. Is it counting down?
You go.
Oh, I have to press the button?
No, you don't have to press anything. Literally just count down so I know when to start it.
Okay. In a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Overcranked podcast, the AntiReview Rendezvous, with your hosts, me, Conor Heffernan, and
EJ McCarthy.
Two fine Irish names, I would say there, EJ.
Very strong. Was it? We trace our roots back to the old country, Conor.
We actually do. I mean, funny enough, because my mom's maiden name is also McCarthy, and I don't know how much of your family history you've done, but McCarthy comes from the McCarthy Moors, who were the old kings of Munster back in the day. So we are technically royalty.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, not messing around on that front. Kings and queens, baby. Kings and queens.
I mean, we certainly look the part anyway. Inbred fuck. But anyway. So EJ, before we start, how's life going? What's been happening with you?
Yeah, man, we're just chucking along in this end, man. Trying to sort of soldier through the first parts of fall in the United Kingdom right now, and that's kind of a groaner because you don't really have fall in the United Kingdom. It goes from like kind of sad summer to like early depressing winter, and there's no really in between. So we're kind of dealing with the seasonal change there. We're also in the process of trying to buy a house. Okay. And that's something. Okay. You cross the threshold into real adult when you go about trying to buy a house, Conor. So I don't encourage it. Okay. I would not wish that evil on my worst enemy, but it is an evil that all people, I feel like at some point in time or another, need to try and confront. Sort of like Frodo staring down the eye of Sauron in Mordor.
Yeah, exactly. Now I find a lot of my friends my age are suddenly buying or have bought houses, and I'm just here kind of wanking about Paris, but
hey, wait till they start having kids on purpose. Like that one will really fuck with
you. Indeed. Okay. Well, EJ, I think we can get to it with our review this week. A very special.
Oh yeah, baby. Let's roll.
A very special movie called The Guard, which is an Irish movie from 2011, starring Brendan Gleeson and Don Cheadle as an unlikely but brilliant cop team up. So just to give our listeners and viewers a little bit of context here, I'm going to read out the plot summary. But EJ, I have added a little bit of a twist to how I'm going to describe the plot summary, and I would be interested to see if you can guess what I've done. So without further ado, this film is about a guard or police in the west of Ireland. He is a man who is liking drink and women and not so much caring for the law. He is named Jerry Boyle. Then coming FBI man from America, Wendell Everett. They must together to catch big drug dealers. Boyle is funny but rude, and Everett is serious and by the book. Much confusion and laughing happens. There are murders and mystery, but also jokes and strange friendship between the men. In the end, they are trying to stop the drugs from coming to Ireland. So,
did you like translate this into Gaelic and then translate it back or something wacky like that?
EJ, you got it on the first go.
Oh, fuck yeah, baby.
That is exactly what I did. And I have to say, some of the missteps weren't too surprising. I do like it in Gaelic. Apparently, by the book translates perfectly. Which is so there must be a saying in Gaelic which is an exact translation, which is interesting. But actually,
then coming FBI man, that's a really nice turn of phrase right there.
FBI man, and liking drinking women and not so much caring for the law, just fantastic description right there. I also a slight little segue off this. There was actually a very recent story about, because I think when people think of Ireland, they don't think the drug trade. But funny enough, there was a story a couple of months ago in my hometown where there was a massive drug seizure. And also, apparently, the number 2 of the Sinaloa cartel in Europe was operating out of my hometown. And he was funneling the money, apparently, through this garden center where everyone's granny in my home county went to this garden center. It's a fantastic garden center. And apparently one day, all the grannies and everyone was like going around doing their business. and suddenly all these armed police showed up, and we're like, "Get out!" It's like this is a this is a bust. And EJ, the best thing about this story, the absolute best thing, is that the guy, the Sonoma Cartel guy, he had the most perfect combination of an Irish and a Spanish name. And would you like to just guess what it is?
Let's go with Pedro O'Donovan or something like, or Pepe Limerick or something like that.
Those are good guesses, but his name was actually Morris O'Shea Salazar.
Jesus, I could not have guessed that in 3 fucking years. That's way better than anything I could have come up with right there.
I'm waiting for the Netflix documentary. But anyway, so we've done our little plot summary. I think now we should go into our little hot takes that we've been discussing about this movie. So I think if you'd like to take the lead on this, I think you had a very interesting point that's kind of hinted at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So just to set the stage, the film starts out with a bunch of kind of 20-something meth heads or drug dealers or just kind of like street toughs, just kind of driving down the street, loud music blaring. Then it cuts to Brendan Gleeson. Okay, and he's gets the call. He kind of shows up on the scene, and it's like, lo and behold, this car of like meth heads has crashed, and Brendan Gleeson is just there to kind of survey and kind of take his little report about what the hell happened. As he's frisking the dead fellows that are just kind of like strewn across the ground, maybe they're the then coming FBI man. So I'm not really sure. Maybe that's they then coming all over the street. So Brendan Gleeson, while he's frisking one of these fellas, finds what is implied to be like acid tablets or something along those lines. And I forget the exact like turn of phrase, but he basically just kind of drops a line of like, fuck it, when in Rome, and just throws down an acid tab, and then just kind of goes about his day. Just a complete fucking badass. But it kind of sets up this this framework or this question of, is this entire movie meant to be a fucking acid trip? I mean, is he just like kind of coked out or shroomed out of his goddamn mind the entire time, and it's just been sort of like lying on his couch at home thinking he's like a fucking ninja warrior or something, fighting all the bad guys, laying pipe to all the hot ladies and all that kind of stuff. So that's really sort of the premise I want to set was this an acid trip or was it not? So that's kind of a question to sort of bandy about. Me personally, I think this story is much more entertaining if you view it through that lens, because it just gives that little bit of like sort of fantastical realism to it, which is just beautiful. So Connor, give me your take, man. What's your sort of opinion on that front?
I would have been inclined to agree with you up until a few months ago when I heard about this story of Morris O'Shea Salazar, because the things that Brendan Gleeson experienced in this movie are so alien, especially to rural Ireland, of like all these, machine guns, drug dealers, like hookers, blah, blah, blah. It's just so off the wall crazy that it's like, okay, yeah, maybe this is like a Celtic Alice in Wonderland type story. But then when I heard about what happened at Ballyseedy fucking Garden Centre, EJ, I'm not so sure anymore. I think the Irish countryside might be like Europe's fucking streets of Colombia, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, like Medellin or something like that, or like Mick Medellin.
I think, yeah, just this movie was ahead of its time. Just the Irish countryside is filled with hookers, drugs, corrupt cops. just everything is there. So I do not think this was an acid trip. I think this is really what goes on out there.
Yo, I got an honest question for you. Where the fuck in Ireland did this take place, man?
So it took place in Connemara, which is a part of Ireland in this place called the Gaeltacht. So the Gaeltacht is this kind of scattering of communities around the entire country. And they're very traditional, very old school. And they're the only places in Ireland where Irish is spoken as the first language. So I think they would mostly speak English, except maybe the older generation. But like, grandparents type generation, they would all be speaking Irish, probably not much English. So it's an interesting place. So it happens there, and this one in particular is near a city called Galway, which is kind of known from all the songs of having beautiful women. But actually, I would highly recommend a visit to Galway for anyone. It's probably my favorite place in Ireland. It's a fantastic bit of the country.
Word was it? Yeah, tourism board, Connor. Here's to you, my man. You can plan my vacation to any sort of seedy den of crack whoredom that we might come across in the years to come. So, as long as there's a then coming FBI man there, I'm ready.
There's always then coming FBI man, EJ.
All right, cool.
Just make sure he doesn't get it in the wrong place. So I think that leads into another take that we had on this movie of which is a point brought up by Don Cheadle's character, the then coming FBI man, who says, kind of out of nowhere, I thought, when he's in the car with Brendan Gleeson, and he just says, "You're either really motherfucking smart or really motherfucking dumb." So EJ, I was wondering what you thought about that. Did you think he was really smart or really dumb?
I mean, I think the default you got to go with is that he was a smart guy playing dumb, like absolutely smart guy playing dumb. And if you tilt any other way, you're fucking wrong. Okay, this guy brilliant. Okay, absolute fucking savant right here. He was playing chess when everyone else was playing checkers. I mean, throw any sort of cliche you want into the equation. I mean, this guy was fucking brilliant. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just drop in fucking casual racism, no big deal. Okay, just kind of razz people up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just being me, baby. He goes on to sort of set up this kind of tete-a-tete with the one of the methed out drug dealers that he encounters like later on, just sort of like going back and forth, getting him to confess to a couple of murders before like pulling out a little fucking Derringer pistol from his Johnson and just popping him right in the heart. I mean, Jesus, dude, like this guy was fucking brilliant. So I want him on my math Olympiad team. Assuming he actually knew how to fucking count, but that's another question for another day.
I think he came fourth in the Olympiad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to disagree with you. I think he was stupid playing smart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me why.
Just as an example, you set
Tell me why, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
So just even taking that scene where he's digging around his pants looking for the gun, which clearly it's like he's keeping the guy who's going to kill him talking, and he's like, just keep the guy yapping till I can get the pistol. I don't think it would actually, if that was your plan, it would take you that long to get a pistol. So I think he was genuinely scratching his downstairs areas after his fun times with the hookers. And I think he just happened upon a pistol. He was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was there. So that would be my counter to that point. I think, the guy never seems to me to be a particularly intelligent fella in how he comes across, but I think he's very good at adapting. So I think the racism part probably was somewhat real, but then he realized, oh fuck, the room's not with me, they're all behaving because the American is here, which is kind of implied by the inspector. It's like, lads, not in front of the American.
That's enough guff from you now, Boyle.
That's enough of your gump, Boyle. Which I don't think Irish police actually say that, but anyway. So yeah, I think he just wasn't a particularly bright fella. I mean, I think hiring two hookers when you're a well-known police officer and dressing up in some sort of 1950s thing probably isn't a very smart move either. So I'm not so sure. And even the bit where they try and showcase his detective skills, where it's like they're saying, oh, well, we're looking for 4 drug dealers. And he's like, well, you're looking for 3. It's like, how do you know? It's like, well, one of them died. It's like, that's not really great detective work. In fact, if anything, if you were a good detective, you would have said that right off the bat.
Quick aside here. So you mentioned Sergeant Boyle's sex party with the 2 hookers. It just got me to wondering, like, what do you think Sergeant Boyle's like ideal sex party looks like? What are some of the things that have to be incorporated into that ecosystem there?
Well, I think we got to take a hard look at this, EJ, because when it's kind of a bizarre setup actually, because the 2 hookers get off the train, and they're both dressed as like police officers, And you would think, okay, he's into police officer, so maybe he's wearing his nice police uniform. But no, he's dressed as like some sort of 1950s mob boss from the way he's dressed. And it does make me think. I mean, he was kind of asking them, are they into a bit of bondage? So I think his ideal sex party is he's like a corrupt mobster running like an underground dingy club. He's busted by all these police officers who then tie him up and have their way with him. Like that's kind of what that was implying to me. But what do you think?
So, okay, yes, like let's go with the obvious, like bondage, like, but I think there's at least one real wacky fucking thing, like sort of hiding in there somewhere. So this is where we need to use our imaginations a little bit.
Go for it.
So there's a lot of mentions of drug use. Okay, in particular, he talks about, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but he mentions, have you ever had crack? I've had it. They say if you just one hit, you get hooked, but that's propaganda for the kids, I think. So I bet there's just a little bit of fucking crack use in there. Okay, maybe he has the prostitutes have some crack. Maybe he has some crack. So I think a little bit of drug use in there, definitely. I don't think that's overly kinky, shall we say.
Depends how you use it. I mean, if he was like injecting crack into his balls, that would be pretty kinky.
Hey, that sounds like just a fun weekend right there. So maybe like sort of defamation or like belittlement. I'm not sure like the appropriate way to say it, but basically the prostitutes like say, "Oh, you're not good enough, was it? You're gonna be sad and alone." Like basically just feeding into his fears of like isolation. And like, yeah, we're just gonna leave you tied up here. Okay, we're not gonna do anything with you. Just sit there and sort of wallow in your loneliness. Because that's definitely kind of a thematic bit that sort of like loops up. But anyway, so I don't want to distract from like the main points. It just got me thinking.
No, it's a solid thought there. So EJ, I kind of thought I said this to you before we came on that I thought very interestingly that I don't know who came up with the idea, but having Don Cheadle and Brendan Gleeson team up in a cop movie is just such a bizarre idea, but it actually works really, really well. Poetry. Like, I mean, I'm quite sad that there weren't more of these films made because honestly, I mean, the two of them complement each other so perfectly.
Yeah, I do like the way that Don Cheadle is presented as in order to kind of draw attention to the typecasting that tends to occur with Black characters on screen. He is presented as the opposite of that. Like, oh, Black dude from the projects becomes like a tough FBI agent or something like that. No. I grew up with winters in Aspen, summers in the Hamptons. I've got a 3-year-old son named Yui and a 5-year-old son named Chet. We do alpine skiing, things of that sort.
I do actually wonder that gives me a bit of a thought about this movie that because to be honest, all of that just seems so like because I'm not sure that those types of people go into careers as like mid-level law enforcement. So I'm actually wondering a bit of a different perspective on this movie. Maybe because I feel if the FBI were going to send a team to Ireland, they wouldn't just send one guy. So I'm wondering if this guy was some mentally deranged person who just showed up to an Irish police station with nothing but an American accent and a suit and said, "Yeah, I'm from the FBI. I'm here to stop these drug dealers."
Now, here's a question. I mean, you know your countrymen better than I do at this stage of the game. Is that something that could legitimately be pulled off? Are people gullible enough?
I'm not even sure if it's a case of gullible, but I think Irish people tend to just kind of go with things and it's like would find it rude to ask questions. So it's like I could imagine that happening at my local police station. He'd just show up and they'd be like, if he had the accent, like an American accent and presented himself as such, I think they'd just say, "Oh, all right. Yeah, go on." Drug dealers, you say, we're going to catch them.
yeah. Don Cheadle's character is just on a fucking like PCP trip or something along those lines.
It's possible that it was set up at the first thing. I mean, maybe Brendan Gleeson's not the one on acid. Maybe Don Cheadle's character took some acid before we started. It's just tripping balls.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson's the one sober guy in the room.
Yeah, and it's just like at the end of the movie, maybe there's like a post-credit scene where Don Cheadle wakes up in the projects with just like a heroin needle or something, and he's like, "Oh, the whole thing was just a dream."
A beautiful, lovely heroin tree.
Beautiful dream. It's like, just imagine he goes into someone in America and tells them that story. It's like, yeah, I just got back from Ireland busting these drug dealers, and there was this cop who liked drink and hookers but didn't care about the law, who was came fourth in the Olympics for swimming, and all this shit.
It's like, bro, you were passed out on the fucking couch for the last 3 days. Okay, you fucking OD'd. We thought you were gonna fucking die, dude. Okay, because you didn't go to fucking Ireland at all. Like, you've been here and in the fucking hospital.
Your family's very worried about you, but they also don't care.
That's true love right there. True love.
True love right there. But yeah, no, I think it's a bizarrely good. I would dare say this is the best buddy cop movie ever made.
I put 48 Hours up there with it. So 48 Hours, you got Eddie Murphy and Gary Busey, I believe it is. Like that intro scene where Gary Busey's walking into the jail and he just hears that song Roxanne being sung by Eddie Murphy in the background. Roxanne, you gotta get on the red line. Eddie Murphy's just going for it, and like literally from the moment he hits the fucking screen, you're like, I need to know more. I need to know more about this fucking guy. But it's the same. It's the same type of like excitement and enthusiasm. Like the moment you fucking meet these people, you're like, I need more. Like inject it into my veins, like fucking heroin. Let's go.
Inject it into my balls like crack. Yeah. No. But I think it's clearly a comedy movie. But I do think there is, and I think this is a very Irish, very Irish writing in the sense that it's very funny, but there's also quite a lot of tragedy and sadness in this movie. It's quite dramatic at some points. Like, I think that scene, because it's established that Brendan Gleeson, his only friend is essentially his mother. He's very hostile towards basically anyone else, but he clearly has a very good relationship with her. And that scene where he's clearing out her room at the hospice where she was, where he's not making eye contact with the guy, he's just putting everything in a bag. He's kind of describing her in very sort of general terms. And there's I think, if I heard correctly, a very subtle bit of acting from Brendan Gleeson when he leaves the room, where his voice goes like one octave higher. And it's a very, I think, powerful scene in the sense that I think his whole world is just crushed right there and then, even though he knew it was coming. Where I think, he's a guy who doesn't really care about anything, doesn't take anything too seriously. But that, I think, it's actually kind of hard to watch when he's packing his mother's bag, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I may be like misquoting it, but it was something, he utters a line of like something like she was a good woman, a kind woman. She was my mother. And it's like, oh man, that like just fucking hits hard, man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because like the writing, it's like ChatGPT wrote an obituary or something. It's not, the writing itself isn't particularly emotional, but it's just the way it's delivered is just spot on.
Yeah. So Brendan Gleeson just doing a lot of heavy lifting in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's the fact he can switch so easily from like these great comic lines to just scenes like that. I think he's just such a fantastic actor.
Here's a question for you. What's the most unintentionally sad thing in this movie?
Oh, that's a good question. The most unintentionally sad thing in this movie. I think, honestly, it's kind of almost forgotten about a little bit into the movie, but I think it's quite sad when McBride, Brendan Gleeson's partner, is killed quite early on, because I thought he was such an enjoyable, lovable character, and he's just taken out immediately.
Just burns. See ya, fucker.
Yeah. Like, I was watching this and I actually really didn't expect it. I thought they'd, I don't know, the criminals would outwit him when he pulled them over and he would just be on his way, but they really just went for it. I thought that was quite sad. I would have liked to have seen more of him.
String, where's Wallace? String, where's Wallace? You'll get that when you eventually watch The Wire, Connor. Okay, you'll appreciate that turn of phrase right there. So get on that.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. So what do you think was the most unintentionally sad moment of this movie?
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to go for the character that Mark Strong was playing, like the English drug dealer who was a part of like
The most Irish interpretation of an English name ever. It's like Clive Cornell. Brilliant
um,
name.
but yeah, he's like sitting by his like sad little aquarium. He's just saying to no one in particular, like just sick and tired of the type of people we have to deal with in this fucking business. Like, Spring Fire Spectrum's like, what do you expect? We're drug traffickers. What's the
Yeah.
point? All this is so fucking meaningless. And it's sad, but it's also like you said, like so spot on for like the caricature of a British person. Like everything is dark and sad and miserable. Like I don't know why I went into like my Donald Trump voice right there, but
Well, you're right. It is very like it's like it's almost like I don't know. The Brits can just never be happy about anything. It's like it's like you're a pretty successful drug dealer with the easiest drug operation in this movie, and you're still fucking miserable.
yes, it's like cool. The sun's shining. You got a few bucks in your pocket. Like
Yeah.
yeah, well, it could always be warmer, and I could always have more. And like what's
Yeah.
sad is like I don't have time to think about this other thing. And like, dude, just fucking stop. Okay, just take a moment. Okay, yeah, kick yourself in the balls and then wake the fuck up. By the way, there's a bunch of great British people out there. I love all you good British people. All the shitty ones, we hate you, okay? But the good ones, we love you, okay? Good ones, you know who you are. Shitty ones, you know who you are too. So, let that be said.
Go stuff a fish and chips up your ass with extra vinegar. Or actually, probably not. You got enough vinegar. But anyway, I mean, it is quite sad. Like, I think it's interesting. I think because I think when this movie was written, there's probably still a strain in Ireland of animosity towards the Brits, kind of more in like I would say mostly like a playful sibling sort of way. But I actually think what makes that scene a bit sad is since Brexit, I think Irish people just actually feel quite bad for the British, which is quite a nice turn of events as it happens. But it's just like you guys are your own worst enemies type thing in certain regards. But anyway. I think what really struck me about this movie as well is because Ireland obviously and America have quite a big connection, I would say. Like American presidents always come to visit Ireland. When it was Trump, we only allowed him in the airport. We didn't allow him out of the airport. And apparently he wanted to have the meeting at his golf course. And the Irish government was like, no, fuck you.
Get the shit out of here, dude.
So obviously we get a lot of American tourists in Ireland. And
gotta kiss the Blarney Stone.
Blarney Stone.
Gotta get HPV from the Blarney Stone.
But actually, I actually have quite a funny story. I was working in a hotel, and we get a lot of American tourists, and this couple were driving me insane because they weren't happy with any of the rooms we had on offer. So me as like,
that doesn't sound like us. We're very happy people, but sure, go on. These people must be from like Connecticut or something like that.
Something like that. But I remember me as the lackey and the mule had to bring around their luggage everywhere, and they weren't happy with any of the rooms. This was an absolute pain in the ass. And then they met up with a couple of their friends who were on the same holiday, and their friends told them about like one of their friends back home had just suddenly passed away. So I had this American couple bawling, crying their eyes out, and me just standing in the corner with their fucking bags, like, what the fuck do I do? Do I just stand? So they were crying for a while. It was like 15 minutes, and I was just there like, I think if I left, they wouldn't notice I left.
just take their shit. Like, all right, 5-figure discount. This is mine now.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted nothing from these people, EJ. I can tell you that. But sad to hear about their friend dying. But fuck me, my sympathy was gone after they had dragged me to 5 different rooms with heavy bags. I was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, it's like your friend probably deserves to die, and you're probably the reason why he's dead.
Yeah. No, my thoughts exactly. So I think what's interesting about this film is you can kind of see it as like an American stereotype of what rural Ireland is like versus an Irishman stereotype of what like an FBI agent is like. And I think both are probably wrong. But what do you think?
I think, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with it. And I think that the sort of engaging with the misconceptions is actually one of the things that makes this movie so fucking good. It's like, oh, I thought all black lads were drug dealers. Oh, and Mexicans. Like, just dropping kind of like random shit like that in there. It just goes fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that we should definitely, I'll flip it back to you here. What's it? I need to ruminate on something right quick, Connor.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I think we might just be getting to the point of doing before we come to ad hoc corner, just doing our little roundup. So EJ, what would you say was your favorite line for this movie?
Oh, god damn it! There's so many fucking good ones.
So many good lines.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll give our favorites, Connor. Okay, and then we'll just talk about a couple of honorable mentions like afterwards. All right.
I think that's fair.
All right. So I do like how he's talking about going to Disney World. He's like, oh, you went to Disney World like what, with your family, girlfriend, something like that? No, by myself. I'm like, what the fuck? I go with someone else, like, got my picture taken with Goofy. Like, he's my favorite, Goofy.
Just the delivery, only an Irish actor could have delivered that line. Like, I mean, where he's just like, just because a British or American actor, you'd know there was like, I don't know, some joke with it, but it's like, it's the way it's like straight down the middle. It's like, no, I went to Disney World by myself. Got me picture taken with Goofy and everything. It's just like, there's such a genuine like joy to his voice. And I can tell you from knowing a lot of people in Ireland, of like, even like the older generation as well, that is exactly how all of them would say it.
How about you, Connor? What's your number one here?
So there's many good lines, but actually my favorite one, probably a slightly surprising one, is at the start when they're going into the crime scene and McBride hands, to carry favor with Brendan Gleeson, he gives him a coffee and he takes one sip and then throws it away. It's like, my drink's a latte. The reason I love that line is it actually sets up so much about his character. It shows him as like very, I think, because you'd expect like, I don't know, some random culty, Irish police officer in the countryside just, would have just a random, wouldn't even have a coffee, probably would just have a fucking like barrel of whiskey every morning. But it's like the fact that he has such a, like, I suppose what would be considered like a liberal drink. It sets him up as like, oh, this guy's not quite what he seems. And then, yeah, I think throwing it away, just showing he has a disregard for social norms.
A disdain for anything that doesn't line up with his exact view of the universe.
Yeah. So no, I quite like that line. It's so unexpected. It's so funny. I quite like that one.
All right, let's go through a couple of the honorable mentions here. Let's see. We've got never got into the Russians. They take too long getting to the fucking point. With respect to his mother's books and reading, he being Brendan Gleeson sitting there playing his like little duck hunter video game, or was it Big Buck Hunter, whatever the fuck it is. And his sidekick comes up and starts just talking to him in some way, shape, or form. Gleeson fires back with, "Are you going to continue to make a series of declarative fucking statements, or are you going to get to the fucking point with this?"
Yeah,
so that was a pretty good one right there. During the drug dealer briefing with Don Cheadle up at the podium, Gleeson firing up and saying, "Oh, I thought only black lads were drug dealers and Mexicans." We have a word for them. Actually, yeah, that could be honestly like a fun bit to kind of recreate between the two of us. We have a word for them.
I thought only black.
We have a word for you too, sir.
That's probably the most polite response to racism I think that's ever been recorded. Just like he completely ignores it the first time around, and then straight away it's like, "Yeah, we have a word for you too, sir." It's called racist. It's like
you only have.
But Yeah, I think I quite like the line as well, where and this is probably just I'm biased because of how much I hate Dublin. But when Brendan Gleeson's scratching his Johnny, the guy says to him, "Is like, oh, what's wrong with you?" It's like, I think I caught something from a couple of those call girls. It's like, where are they from? Dublin. It's like, Dublin. Sure, you've only yourself to blame. And I think another honorable mention, if I may, is when McBride is killed. He's like walking back to the cop car, and they say, "Do you want to turn around?" He's like, "No, I'm going to make you shoot me in the back like the cowards you are," something along those lines. And they just shoot him straight away. And then when Liam Cunningham goes over and he's like looking over the body, and the other guy says, like, he took that quite well, I thought. It's like, yeah, he's very philosophical about it. It's just brilliant line.
Yeah, real Snoop and Chris shit from The Wire. Once again, watch The Wire, Connor. Was it? Then you'll know, and you'll agree.
I'll agree. You're right about everything, EJ.
I always am, and always will be.
Yeah, that's why we gotta have an American on the podcast.
Yeah.
So EJ,
at least I'm not confident about it. That's the important thing. Was it? I'm not confident about anything, except this.
So EJ, who do you think you'd get a beer with from this movie?
Oh baby, shit. This is actually a much tougher question than I think you might think on the surface. I'm gonna go with the IRA guy. Okay, he only comes in for like one or two scenes. Okay, but after the little kid finds like the cache of weapons and brings him to was it Brendan Gleeson, like grabs him and is like, okay, you don't need these AK-47s and stuff like that. And then brings him to his like IRA Connect at the airport or something. And this IRA guy like has a couple like great one-liners. One of which I think we both really appreciate, which is, we had to what was it? So there are gay lads in the IRA. Like, it's the only way we could successfully infiltrate MI5. Maybe the something along those lines. And I'm like, dude, this guy's funny as shit right here. I bet he's a good old time.
It's funny you picked him because that actor is actually Pat Short, who's wouldn't be famous outside of Ireland, but is very famous. He's a very famous comedy actor in Ireland. So he's been he had his own show called Kilnascully, which is like the sitcom in the Irish countryside, which is very rural Irish humor. Like no one from Irish cities gets it, but anyone who's from the countryside loves it. And he also played this great character in the famous Irish sitcom Father Ted. This guy who's just an absolute complete lunatic who always sits there with like this face. And in the first episode he's introduced, it's like this guy comes to the island where it's set, and he calls up Father Ted. He's like, hey, is there I'm on the island, but I'm not sure if it's the right one. He's like, is there a guy wearing a shirt looking at you? And the shirt says, I shot JR. And he looks up, and it's the IRA guy from this movie who's just looking at him like this with a shirt that says, I shot JR. And he's like, yes, there is actually. He's a brilliant comic actor. Well chosen.
How about you, Connor? Who's your go-to?
Honestly, I would just go with Brendan Gleeson from this movie. He just seems like such a good time. I also noticed whenever he's drinking, he always has a whiskey and a pint.
Gotta have a chaser, baby. Gotta have a chaser.
Whereas you see Don Cheadle always with like an espresso or something. It's just Brendan Gleeson just hard drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think Don Cheadle definitely a fan of the pumpkin spice latte.
Oh yeah, for sure. Back in Kenosha after with his kids Chet and Bag.
Chet and Yui or something like that.
Yeah, I think. Funny enough, I think we're going to agree on this next one. But who would you punch in the dick in this movie?
Who would I punch in the dick? Let's go with. Fuck, you give me your answer first, Connor, because I need to ruminate on this one for a second.
Honestly, I would go for Mark Strong's character, Clive Cornell. Just that scene when he's being miserable about like, but good are the people we just straight dick punch right there.
Everything's sad. My world is sad.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I want to change my answer for who to have a beer with. I think Brendan Gleeson's mother. That would be an awesome lady to fucking have a beer with. Like
Yeah,
she would be
strong
awesome. So I'm just gonna throw that back out there.
Okay, fuck off, Pat Short.
Yeah, fuck off, Pat Shore. See you later, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought the little kid was kind of fucking annoying. I feel like he just needs like just a quick little tap in the Johnson. Just be like, get the fuck out of here, you little bastard.
I wish, yeah, that scene where Don Cheadle's going around the countryside, I would have just wished the horse would just eat the child. And I think Don Cheadle would have looked the other way.
Yeah, it's a part of the Irish horror mythos right there. The flesh-eating horse. Okay, it's very rare.
Always feed your horse.
Always feed your horse.
Always feed your horse, EJ. Take that to mean whatever you want it to mean, but always feed your horse.
Always feed your horse. A bushel of oats and a bucket of hay. Alrighty. So onward we go. So if you wanted to make a sequel for this movie right here, set the scene for me, Connor. What does your sequel look like?
I got a very good one. We flipped the script. So basically for the sequel, it fast forwards a few years to Don Cheadle's character. And he is, I don't know, there's some Irish gangsters, possibly Maurice O'Shea Salazar, who are up to no good in the US of A. And all of a sudden, Brendan Gleeson shows up once again. And this time, it's an Irish cop helping out the Americans in rural America. Imagine these guys going around interviewing like essentially rednecks and all this sort of thing. I think it'd be quite funny.
I done there. What you doing with that thing? It's catch your majigger.
It's not a bad idea for a movie in the sense of like, a super rural Irish guy, like the way Brendan Gleeson plays, just interacting with rednecks in some sort of film. I think there's just a lot of potential for chaos there.
If you want to make it like raunchy and R-rated, you could make it like kind of part of the Deliverance universe.
Indeed, I think you could.
Or don't, less redneck hillbilly rape, but hey, to each their own. From my end, Connor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off of the premise that this actually was an acid trip. Okay. So the sequel would be Brendan Gleeson just wakes up and just spends the entire movie just participating in his mundane fucking life. Let's say he's like a cashier at a supermarket or something like that, and he's just like, okay, I'm filing stuff, like he goes, he like, oh, it's at end of the year, like let me get a head start on filing my taxes. Let me go home to my like single bed, my single chair, and my sad life where no one exists. And then the movie ends with him seeing an application. Was it a sign that says help wanted for like the police department? And he goes in and he submits an application, and then we're off to the races. So it kind of becomes like kind of a circular, like cyclical kind of Christopher Nolan type fucking thing there. That's what I go with right there.
My God, could you imagine if this film was directed by Christopher Nolan?
Jesus Christ.
I would love to see Brendan Gleeson acting in a Chris Nolan movie. It'll be hilarious.
It's like a pint within a pint within a pint.
Should we get more points, lads? Oh, fantastic.
Who else do you think would be like a fun person to have like direct this movie? Like who else could bring like a really fantastic vision to this fucking thing?
Honestly, straight off the bat, Quentin Tarantino.
More murder, more death.
More murder, more death, but more dialogue between Don Cheadle and Brendan Gleeson. I think more dialogue, over the top violence. I think it would elevate the movie quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go with like John Carpenter or something like that. Like let's have like a legitimate horror aficionado come in, all right, and just gore this fucking thing up a little bit, okay? John Carpenter, Fede Alvarez, someone like that. Let's just more blood, more death. Let's go. So cool. I'm with you there. I'm with you. Or who knows? I mean, maybe Kathleen Kennedy has an opinion.
Put a chicken at pick your guy.
Yeah, I mean, our girl Kathleen, we love her to death. Never disappoints.
We do. EJ, I think this takes us neatly along to the old ad hoc corner. If we want to do a couple of, do you have any quick fire thoughts from this movie?
Do you want to speak to maybe how this movie would be different? If it was like made today, or
I actually don't think it'd be that different if it was
Yeah.
made today. I think I can't really see this film being made any differently, to be quite honest.
it would be more diverse. It would be a more diverse movie, and I think that would be a bad thing. I think it would take away from the entertainment. I think it would take away from the rebukes of racism and what have you that actually do exist in this movie by trying to make it more diverse. So
yeah, right. It wouldn't quite work. It kind of almost has to be like, yeah, I see what you mean.
why
Yeah, okay.
Ghostbusters doesn't fucking work, dude. God damn it.
I haven't seen it. Probably won't see it.
But yeah, ad hoc corner. Sorry, I didn't mean to fucking distract you there. So take us through the first hurdle here, buddy.
So a couple of things, I think right off the bat. So EJ, if you were a police officer and you stumbled upon a crime scene and 5.5 was written in blood on the wall, just what do you think you'd make of that?
I think the guy was giving himself an extra 2 inches. break out the ruler and measure his little dingaling.
So basically, if Trump was assassinated, let's say the guy, whatever his name was, Thomas Weirdo something, succeeded, and then someone in the crowd just yelled out as Trump was dying, "It's like you've got a small penis." He would then use his own blood to write, "No, it's 5.5 inches." Ask Melania.
Yeah, they round up in America.
Math,
it's math. Was it? We're all good at math here. Okay, was it? I'm the best. Okay, but there are other good people out there too.
I think that's a solid call.
Yeah, cock size, definitely cock size.
Yeah, I think you could see this almost as like a stand against inflation. It's like, a pint in Ireland back in the day was probably like €4, and then it's like, as this guy's dying, it's like $5.50. It's like, if this is going to be my last thing to complain about, it's going to be the price of a pint.
I like that.
That's why I will never be a detective, but damn, I'd be a good one. So I think this movie actually raises a very interesting point, which is because obviously we would all say that racism is bad. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to say. But there's a line where he says, he's like, "Oh, you're a racist," and he's like, "But try, I'm Irish. Racism is part of my culture." And it's like, well, what if racism is part of someone's culture? It's like, then are you xenophobic for like not being okay with it? I mean, it kind of raises a paradox, I think.
Yeah, true. So, what we what do you want to like kind of take different sides of this thing here and basically try and defend from one angle and then sort of flip the script a little bit, or?
No, I was curious on your thoughts.
All right. I think that racism is racism wherever you fucking see it. Okay, this is going to be like a friggin' eulogy here. It's going to be boring and sad. Yeah, racism is racism regardless of where you come across. However, the question is the person dropping racist phraseologies, are they racist? And if they're ignorant of what they're doing, I would say that that sort of brush of they are a racist. I mean, you got to really paint pretty hard to kind of paint them as a racist. But if they're kind of brought, it's brought to their attention, like, hey, that's some racist fucking shit you're saying right there. Like, for instance, if I said to you, Connor, was it, you dirty fucking potato eater, you like, I don't want you working at my goddamn store. Okay, was it? I don't want any of you dirty, stinky Irish fellas working at my goddamn store. You and your ginger fucking hair, okay, with your leprechaun gold, okay, was it? You stay away from my fucking store, okay? And, my daughters, okay, you stay away from my daughters, okay? You stay away from my store. You stay away from my fucking country, you. And
I got leprechaun gold. I don't need your shitty job.
What are you talking about? I don't have a fucking job. Okay, was it? I'm on that Obamacare, baby. I got them unemployment benefits.
Oh wow, look at you. Well, I got leprechaun gold and your daughter, so fuck you. Yeah. So I would completely agree. I think racism goes in where you find it. I think it's there certainly are. I think certain places in the world where people do have just some, shall we say, abhorrent views beyond racism as well, and they try and justify it with like through religion or their culture. It's like, nah, you're being a dick is being a dick, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
like someone drops a line, like someone says just something fucking heinous, but it's like, oh no, but I'm not racist. I didn't mean it that way. It's like, well, what do you mean that way? Like, you fucking dark-hearted piece of shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I think to round off that point, racism bad.
racism bad. Very good. Very good.
I,
Yeah,
I think we just saved the world, EJ.
we crushed it, dude. Was it? We just win DEI?
I think we won DEI because I think honestly, we could have gone down the other route with that, and we would have been in trouble. But I think we came out strong. I think we came out strong on that one.
Okay. All right. So that's good to know. Good to know right there.
Yeah, indeed. EJ, what do you think? Were there any floating points from this movie you are on your mind?
I think that this is a perfect movie. Like there were kind of slightly there were a couple of names sort of dropped in there just to kind of get your attention, but not so much that like, oh, they're going to be the conduit to drive this whole movie forward. Like I have no fucking idea what I'm watching here. Like a movie about the fucking fields of Ireland. I mean, I don't know. I got enough stuff to distract me in today's day and age, but being able to revisit this effing thing here and just bask in the glory of like just the back and forth, the either the feigned or intentional ignorance, and sort of how that makes everyone else fucking uncomfortable around them. The American folks in particular, where it's like, I have no fucking idea how to interact with these people right here. I'm like, dude, that you're speaking my language. As a foreigner in a foreign land myself at the moment, I'm like, dude, I can relate to this fucking feeling right here. So yeah, I think just a perfect fucking movie.
I'm interested to hear a little bit about that because I think most of our viewers would see, and I hope you don't mind if I say this, EJ, you are a very stereotypical European's idea of what an American is like. I think
Oh,
that's
no doubt, dude. Yeah, loud, fucking braggadocious,
yeah.
overly friendly, and
Yeah.
yeah.
You keep an eagle in your pants at all time.
Oh yeah, dude. Was it an American flag in my asshole?
Yeah. Anyone says oil, I feel you just perk up. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. Was it? Yeah, just I go from 6 to 12, like just like that.
Yeah. Go from a semi to a fully. So I think I am a little bit curious about because obviously I've lived in America and you've lived in the UK now. So I'm curious, what do you think was your biggest like I don't know, Don Cheadle-esque moment when you first arrived in the UK? Like, what was your, I guess, what was your what did you think it would be like versus what it was actually like when you very firstly arrived in the UK?
My welcome to the UK experience. All right, so that's actually a very extended story, but and I'm not going to tell it all the way through on this particular podcast right here. But my first day in the UK was quite the treat. I started out DC, hopping on a plane, first time basically out the country.
And were you excited?
I was very excited. I was very excited, Connor. And nothing could go wrong. Okay, was it carefree, optimistic American? No bad things would happen to me. Except for the 17 things that did over the next like 18 hours. So, during the course of this little adventure here, going from leaving my home for the airport to getting settled in the first day in the UK, we had all sorts of wacky shit happen. We had overpacked baggage, so I had to unfurl like my bags to kind of get in in line with sort of the weight requirements, if you will, for the airport. Then after that, make my way down to the gate that I'm leaving from, okay, which is of course like at the fucking far ass end of this huge airport, and I'm wearing like 17 layers because I can't pack them in my bag, so I'm sweating my fucking ass off. All right, just smelling to high heaven. Okay, I eventually get myself settled on down. Okay, and I think to myself, all right, cool, all the bad shit's been done. Okay, no more bad things are gonna happen. Fast forward 2 hours later, when someone comes on the intercom, an hour after my flight is actually supposed to have boarded, they say, "Oh yeah, sorry, you can't get on this flight, okay, because there was a fire in the fucking galley. Okay, so literally the plane's on fucking fire, okay, so you can't get on that one, okay. We're gonna send you all the way over to the other side of the fucking airport, okay, to get on that plane." So cool. I wander my way over to the other side of the airport, and huffing and puffing, settle on down. Eventually we get on the plane, and I think to myself, cool, at least I'll be able to sleep on the plane. I'm freaking tired after all that sort of hustling and bustling there. I get myself settled down. Okay, I'm in the middle seat because I'm a poor college student, and that's how we roll. And I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe I'll look out. Maybe no one will be sitting next to me, and that'll be awesome. So the gates, the plane starts to fill up. Cool. Farmer Brown, okay, and his friggin' wife start trundling down the aisle, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, oh Jesus, no. So they go ahead and settle themselves up, nestle up right nice and close to me for the next 6.5, 7 hours. Okay, I can literally I can hear the breathing of Mrs. Brown as she's huffing and puffing her way along. Like I'm thinking maybe that oxygen thing from the airplane needs to drop on down so that she can get just a little bit of supplementary breathing help there. Anyways, it was a very sort of sticky experience. So we get off the plane. We're cool. We're in the UK now. Yeah, good things. We've got, let's say, a couple of planes from areas in the world that's, if you were going to say derogatory and racist things about, with respect to particular cuisines and smells, all lined up to get through immigration. And me being just the kind of nincompoop that I am, I'm thinking, all right, cool. Well, maybe they'll just kind of cycle these people through. But no. This is European customer service we're talking about here. This is European border security. We're going to be very slow and very methodical. So fast forward another 2 hours. Finally get my way through border security. I'm on my on the other side, like waiting for my luggage. Cool. Let's go ahead and have those 3 bags come on out so that we can pick them up and move our life over to the UK. One bag comes out. Awesome. Another bag comes out. Even better. Third bag. Question mark. An hour goes by. We have a little conversation with the baggage people, and we're like, "Hey, there's this thing that should have been coming out." It's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we don't know what happened. We're unsure of things." I'm like, "Who do I speak to?" Like, "Yeah, we don't know." Like, okay, so what do I do here? Eventually, the fucking bag comes out, but we're 2 hours behind the behind where we should have been at that point in time. We got all our fucking shit. We're dragging our way down to the trains. Cool. Like in Europe, everyone uses trains, and it's very it's a substandard approach to transportation. I will not hear any other arguments than that. Driving a car to and from, there's no pleasure like leaving your house, taking 3 steps, sitting down, okay, and then showing up at the destination you want to get to, okay, after a set period of time, and then walking 3 steps into the actual abode that you want to go into. Okay, there's nothing like driving a fucking car in America. Anyways, a little sort of segue right there.
You guys have much better roads than Europe, though.
Oh yeah, the roads are top shelf. So, anyways, we're on a fucking train. Okay, and then we're on another fucking train because the trains here, they go some places, but they don't go all the places. So, and then we get on another fucking train after that. So we're training along, and also like things in the UK, they're named in just weird and wacky ways. So like they've got Dingleshire and like Cockfosters and Flumbity Dumbity and like Dinglefluff and Wigglesworth and Giggleswick. These are actual names of fucking towns here.
Before I came back to Paris from Ireland a couple of weeks ago, I was literally in a town called Dingle.
All right, Dingle's a great name. Okay, Dingle is a beautiful place in Ireland. Okay, couldn't recommend it highly enough to all the good people.
Great place.
All right. So, anyways, we're working our way up to Cambridge or down to Cambridge. I'm not really sure where we were at that juncture in time. I'm at this point where, good God, like I need to get to the place I need to get to. So I pull into the Cambridge station and I see in big bold letters advertising education in the town of Cambridge. Welcome to Cambridge, home of Anglo-Ruskin University. I'm like, fuck, am I in the wrong Cambridge here? So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'll get to the sort of like group house that I'm staying at this first night, with a couple of classmates and teammates of mine. So get off the train, hop in a cab, we go a few blocks up. Go to the front door, think, okay, all the bad shit has happened. No more bad things are going to happen. I knock on the door. No one answers. I knock on the door again. Still no one answers. I knock on the door a third time. No one answers. And I think to myself, oh shit, what the fuck now? So there I am standing there with like 80 pounds worth of baggage, thinking to myself, God damn it, I have no way of getting home or getting to where I need to be or getting into this house I need to be in. And I don't know who the hell to talk to. So I have one phone number for someone in the UK that I'm supposed to be speaking with. I call him like 7 friggin' times. He doesn't pick up because that's just the way that day's going. We get in a taxi cab again to go try and get a UK SIM card so that we can actually get some cell phone service. And while we're in the taxi cab, nice taxi cab man, I don't know his name, okay, but he was a nice man. He offers to actually place a call to this fellow on my behalf. And eventually we get through, okay? And it's just the most British voice I've ever heard in my life. It's like, I can't do a good English accent. I've been over here for 8 years. I can't do a good English accent, so I'm not going to pretend to do one now. But he's like, hello, how are you? Who is this? And I'm like, I'm the guy you're supposed to be meeting at the train station. He's like, oh, about that. So he's like, well, where are you now? I'm like, I have no effing idea. Like, this is my first time in this country, much less, in this town. So he's like, okay, well, let me talk to the taxi driver. So he's like, yeah, just drop him off here. I'm like, so there I am, just kind of standing on like the corner of the street with, my 80 pounds worth of baggage. And, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, this is as weird and bad as it's going to get. What else could get weird about this? Fellow rolls up in just the tiniest freaking car I've ever seen. Like, I'm used to these big ass SUVs in America. Okay. Tiny little car. Okay. And he's like, okay, cool. You're going to hop in. Okay. You guys can you can crash with me for the evening. Okay. And then we'll get you sorted out tomorrow. So I get in the car. Okay, cool. Driving, go into this fella, his family home. They put me in a spare room and, we go and we say, okay, we're going to go blackberry picking now. Okay. So, I literally like, my day wrapped up. Okay, my first day in the UK. Okay, it finished with going blackberry picking. Okay, was in the orchard of one of these famous Cambridge colleges, and I'm like, what the fuck? I've done all of the UK stuff there is to do, and I haven't even been here for 24 hours. Like, I can just leave now. This is the most British thing I've ever experienced in my friggin' life. So,
you literally had every British experience. You had shitty train service. You had shitty customer service. You waited a lot. And you went blackberry picking. You had everything, EJ. That was the full.
I had it all, dude. I had it all. So sorry. Like, thank you for indulging me as I kind of had that little trip down memory lane. But I feel like just giving you a small sort of snippet there, like, just wasn't enough. You need the full backstory to really appreciate the joy and calamity therein.
I think we're gonna have to revisit that someday. That is fantastic. Can I tell you about my when I went to America?
Please, baby, give it to me.
So, I have to say, EJ, I was not prepared for how fucking weird the average American is. To be with you.
Do tell.
So, I'm going to tell you about three people I met in my very first week, and all of whom were a different flavor of strange. There was one girl who was kind of she was one of the RAs of our student accommodation, so they're like point of contact if something goes wrong. So I arrive in San Diego, move into my accommodation in the campus, blah, blah, blah. And she's going around introducing herself to everyone. And she comes into our apartment and she asks everyone's age. And everyone is like under 21. And EJ, I shit you not, she said, fully serious, oh, cool, non-drinking apartment. And I was like, if you said that in Ireland, you would probably have gotten shot. If you said it taking the piss, fine. But she was so like, cool, this is a lame apartment. That's really cool. Like, it was
you guys suck.
you guys are not getting laid at all. I applaud you. Like, it was just like, oh my God, you hate fun.
Enjoy being virgins.
Yeah. Another interaction I had was because obviously you see all these great American brands that you can't access here. Although I would say that's changed in the last few years. But for example, you'd hear about Gatorade a lot. I'd never had a Gatorade. So I told the guy at the store, I was like, I got a Gatorade. And I was like, oh, which one would you recommend? And he was like, take the blue one. And I was like, oh, thanks. I've never had Gatorade. And he just looked at me. He was like, you've never had Gatorade? And I was like, well, no, I'm from Ireland. I just arrived here. He was like, oh my God. And he just hands it to me, opens it and says, I need to watch you drink this. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay. So I just took a sip, and he's genuinely interested. Like, this man, if another customer had come up, they weren't getting served at all. Like, this man was just razor focused looking at me. And I was like, I've got to nail this reaction because clearly this man's life is depending on it. I was like, yummy. He was like, thanks, thank you so much. I was like, what the fuck country have I rolled up in? And then I think probably the cherry on top of my first introduction to America was I met some of the other math students, and I would say math undergrads in Ireland are probably pretty normal by and large. And I met this guy, and I was talking to him, and I was like, he was like, "Oh, you don't sound American. Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Ireland. I'm just I'm studying at the university here for like a year abroad." And he just like retorted and just looked at me and was just like, "Does Ireland not have universities?" I was like, what?
No, we just fucking scribble on cave walls, man.
Scribble on caves. It's like all of my calculus education was just go. So that was my introduction to America, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I went to I'll never forget going to the beach, and I thought I was in liberal California. I go to the beach. There's a big sign on the beach: "No firearms beyond this point." I was like, "What the fuck country have I arrived into?"
Yeah. Welcome to Disneyland, dude. Welcome to fucking Disneyland.
I could get my picture taken with Goofy, EJ.
He's your favorite, ain't he?
He's yeah. So there's a lot of good things about America as well, but those three interactions my first week definitely jump out at me. But EJ, I think we may have come to the end of this week's podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're the then coming FBI man at this point.
We're then coming FBI man. But before we go away, would you like to give a quick shout out from our sponsor?
Oh yeah, was it? Let's go ahead and thank our friends, Lysol chips. Okay, if you need clean potato-based products inside and outside of your anus, Lysol chips, they can do it for you. Okay, was it clean that countertop and clean your colon at the same time? Lysol chips.
That's them, and we also got a new sponsorship coming from Steve Billy's Assault Mops. You hear the cops, you take our mops.
Yeah. Big love to our sponsors and to our listeners out there. Thank you very much for rolling with us. And as always, like and subscribe.
It helps out big time in the algorithm.
Yep.
And I think that wraps us up for this week. I shall see you next week for our next anti-review rendezvous. I've been Conor Heffernan.
And I've been EJ McCarthy.
We'll see you beautiful people next week. Goodbye. Au revoir.
Later, fuckers.